Just coming to you live today. Gonna be on here for like an hour or so. So thought I'd come on in here, drop this. I think I told people I was coming in here with this. So um, you know, see what I got. How y'all doing today? Just, putting some stuff in perspective, getting some stuff with this. Let's see what I gonna do. Okay. Get this thing on real quick. Let me see if I'm gonna put this on. Got to think about what question I'm gonna ask today because I want to put something that you know. Um, Let me think. I gotta think of how I want to word this. I gotta put this in perspective. Hmm. Let's see how I want to. What topic do I want to discuss? So many things. Um, when we get people in here, I'm gonna start getting into it. I'm gonna see what we got in here. Whatnot. I'm just not coming on whatnot. So we're gonna see. What's up? How you doing? What kind of topic would you like me to put for the question? Since you're the first one to come in here, I will put a topic. Do you want it to be political? Do you want it to be about Minneapolis? Do you want it to be about music? Tell me what you want, and I'm gonna create a topic. Since you were the first one to come through, because I'm thinking about the Minneapolis topic. I did a sports one. I left you out yesterday, but if you give me a topic today, I'll put it up. But you want to cover that is sense that won't get me in no stank with this channel. You know how that goes. So gotta be cool though. But you know. And anyway, since I got you on here anyway, I'm not gonna be here until Monday. I'm gonna more than likely not be here tomorrow. Definitely off Saturday, and I don't do Sunday, so probably Monday that the earliest I come back. Cause they had a moment in time, and you know he happened to be the cat that got away. And sometimes they just tickle you in the right place. Just one of those moments. Okay, I think I'll just. What's happening? How you doing? Thank you for coming through. Glad to see you. I'm just gonna talk about it because we was but Minneapolis yesterday, so is school safe. Basically, what happened in Minneapolis, it seems to be a current theme once a year. It's the same old thing. So great to see you too. Thanks for coming through. I greatly appreciate it. I know that sometimes people have busy schedules, with the summertime, school, work. What's happening? How you doing, JL? Good to see you. That's been there. What's happening, Senor? I'm on here today, so I got a, I got a, I'm here today. Doubtful this weekend, so I'm thinking about, cause I'm probably gonna be the weekend. I got stuff to do. Tomorrow is iffy, but it definitely won't be Saturday, Sunday. So I bet the most of the earliest would be Monday. So I'm gonna try to get like 2 to 3 streams a week, live streams, so people catch up with me. And if you happen to see me out there on Facebook or Instagram or something, and you wanna friend me or something, shoot me a message and say, "Hey, you want to do a live stream?" When people sign up, join the channel, uh, anybody who becomes the membership, etc., donations, etc., anything like that, I will do more, and I will make it. What I will do is that the people that do all that, I'll make it almost at any time that I got to do live. So it's still pretty casual at this stage because obviously, and again, no pressures or nothing with folks, but just saying. So, anybody wants to come through, feel free. But we're going live right now, and I got to plug everything in that I can. I don't think it's about about his success because she was married to a cat named 6ix9ine who was a garbage rapper. I think it's more to do with the fact that he just happened to be the one that kind of got away. I don't think it's about the bag. I think she really had feelings. I thought she caught feelings. You know, sometimes, sometimes you just be catching feelings, and it's human. Oh, I think she did too. I just think that what happened was so much so fast because he had just got a resurgence. And yeah, I mean, I think he genuinely cared about her. I think they had a moment. I don't think there was anything, you know. I know that they business was out there in the streets. I know that there was some stuff that they did. I know that. And, there was no denying about certain things. So, I just always say that, hey, sometimes things just ain't meant to be, and there's different things that come about for the long duration. But they got what they wanted, though. So, okay, I'm back now, Fishy. I got everything all signed up. I sent all the notices out. So, um, so everybody who wants to come on, gonna come on. Iconic in what country? We're talking about the states in Europe is Jennifer Lopez. Are we talking about back to their origins is Selena Cruz? All depends on what origins we coming from. I mean, because J Lo done had like a what 30+ year career in TV, film, music. So multiple TV shows, multiple. I think Jennifer Lopez would get it. More people know her. I mean, let's keep it 100. Her behind is iconic alone. So I think that that's going to be kind of hard to, you know, just saying. And I don't want to say it like derogatory. I'm just going to keep it 100 because that's iconic. She had a big career once upon a time, movies and film. You know, she's only one of a handful of acts to have a number one movie and a number one album in the country at the same time. So, she definitely hit big. I mean, yeah, she's whack, and then you can clown her and all that now, obviously, but she was big at one time. Cecilia Cruz didn't have the likes of a Diddy or somebody at that time to offset it, but with the career. Movies, and I'll tell you why. Because with sports, it's a jump off platform, and then you got to get endorsements, and you can make money. But remember something: everybody in sports, be it Michael Jordan, LeBron, etc., Dr. J, got into movies. OJ, I can name actors, people that got into it. Music artists wanted to get into movies. They got into movies. Movie people can portray both of those, but if they can make the money on the big screen, and plus they also have different percentages. So you got a better chance if you hit in movies if you get a hit. But there's a lot of backers and a lot of things have to go your way. A lot has to. They all risky. I think sports you got more of a guarantee of it. Music you gotta be successful and have your hits and so much that has to go your way. But I think movies is the one that pulls in the more wealth. Because again, if you hit with movies, and movies is the one where I've seen people with, because you gotta remember something. Let's keep it 100, right? Let's keep it 100. Will Smith came out in the 80s, right? No one will buy his music no more. And athletes don't usually play 3 or 4 decades, but on movies, and you can do different types of movies. You can do narratives, you can do voiceovers. You got more way. Who made the best hit in their older age? Um, if I had to say, the more iconic one was Tina Turner. Aretha Franklin had hits as she got older, and Cher had, you know, but Tina Turner's was the most impressive considering what she had went through. Tina Turner had for me at once upon a time. Well, from a female perspective, I think from a female, if I was going from the female perspective, she had the best female later career. And then now I'd say Charlie Wilson on the male side. But it's still incredible what Tina was able to accomplish, though. I still remember being a teenager when she came back with What's Love Got to Do with It? And, it was quite a testimony. Cher hit with Believe, which was big, but she never really went away, per se. Aretha's always dropped something. My favorite Aretha stuff is, though, probably from the 80s, though. But she still had hits and stuff. But Tina's career, that was incredible because when you think about that, she was penniless almost after she left Ike and she blew up like she did, and still packing large stadiums and venues as she got older was just amazing. So, So that's how I look at it. But again, it all depends on how you look at it and who what you think. Okay, let's get some questions going. Because if I don't hear nothing, I got to roll. What has taken the life? That's kind of. I got to think how what I answered. What has taken the life? Uh, could be a lot of number of things. Could be their will to what they have around them. I think some of the people were just sad. They had to sacrifice so much to get what they got. You gotta remember, you gotta do so much. Nah, it wasn't that. Wasn't that. I think it was their own, human reaction to just having a kind of like again, they had to give up so much to get what they got. If you're asking me what I think, I'm telling you what I think took them out. Not necessarily, something, but just where they're doing in entertainment. It's a very tough business. It's a meat grinder. It's youth driven. It's competitive, and it can just eat your soul. Racism, uh, isms, misogynism, all the stuff that goes on. So there's a lot of factors that can eat at you. They're really reality of it. So that's a good question. Probably Etta James. Etta James Ruth Brown. Because I mean, I listened to her and she was a springboard for Aretha and others. And Etta James was bad too. I got her book. That was a must read book. She spoke out about a lot of things. So that was a good question because I had to think there for a moment. Good question. Because I think that he probably thought she was a bird. Probably thought she was just using him, and probably just didn't see it having any long legs. She probably wasn't serious, and she probably one of them Hollywood types, which, eventually, like, unless, of course, you're willing to give, just kind of for fun and games. And that's pretty common, and that's why they end up sharing everybody. They pass them around, and so that's why things kind of go like they do. You wonder why certain people just kind of come and go. And he understands the meat market mindset. So she just, she just, at that time, but I can't really get into a lot of things because again, it was kind of almost felt like it was a fixed situation, and you know, I know at that time, Get Rich or Die Trying, he came back in the club. He was hotter than he ever was, and you know, so it just didn't happen. No. And like I tell you before with Hollywood, it's hard to explain relationships because they're not usually the norm of what you see out here in these streets. And they're like interchangeable all at once. So, you know, different era, different time. Okay. Appreciate I see some people that clicked on whatnot. Feel free to come on through. Like I said before, after today, I probably went back to next Monday at the earliest. So, nah, I don't think that she was. I think that she kind of knew that it was short term because she still walks around with regret. She feel like that's the one that got away. She pretty much more or less said that, but I ain't really put a lot of no depth into it. I just think that they kind of had a run. You know, you know. I know she just got some BBL done, and she's still trying to. So again, these situations are a little bit extreme. And you go crazy trying to, you just be guesstimating. So that's how I look at it, though. I just think sometimes people just run that course. That's all. Came in and went. Mm. That's interesting question because I have to get back to you on that because when Nia Long is going to be doing the playing Michael Jackson's mother as Catherine, so that may or make or break her. Uh, it's so close because Nia Long has had what I call, to an extent, some bigger roles. She's been around forever, but she ain't never really blew up. But Vivica does have set it off to her credit. She has some roles too. She was independent with those director videos, which took off to can play that game, and she did those multiple movies. Um, I'd say right now, if you were to ask me, it's close. I say Nia by an eyelash because of the best man, a couple of them movies, but it's close. Now that if she plays Catherine Jackson and she not nails that role, then that'll really cement it. But right now, it's close. No, because they both have had some big movies, but it's never like I could sit there and go, oh, who's more? Because neither one of them are talked about. They're not treated as top tier. Let's get that out the way. Halle Berry was your top tier. Take that how you want. Angela Bassett was top tier. You know, Viola Davis got more juice than both of them. So I can name you. You know, they're not on that tier. Jada, Jada, because Jada is bigger than Nia. Jada had a bigger career than Nia, and she was more convincing. When she was in Boys in the Hood, she was fresh. She was fresh back then, and she didn't really. The dynamics of it didn't really like. Yeah. Now Regina King was in Friday, but Nia And then are we down there yet? Nia was in bigger movies than Vivica, but Jada got it. Jada got that argument. Jada's more hood because Jada for ball. Jada just got that argument. Nia can play the role. Jada really is the. Jada got that, but Nia's a better actress though. Because Nia then left Jada in the '90s though. That's the thing. They both were kind of similar, and the pretty petite who could get away with the bobblehead hairdo, but Nia left her in the bushes though. Jada never worked on her craft. The bop, the bop hair. I meant to say, but she didn't have to. She when she got married with Will, she did that Hawthorne TV show and a couple of things. But her '90s was her era. She did the Nutty before. She was bigger. Nia's still doing stuff, but neither one of them. I mean, again, they never quite got first tier. Like, but Nia has had movies that I like though. Nia's got movies I like. She had better chemistry with Lonzo Tate than Jada did. So, but again, it's when you ask me about these situations, they only allowed. When you think about that era, only two black actresses came out of that era where they had solid runs, and that was Halle Berry and Angela Bassett. Everybody else was playing for second and third. You know. That's kind of how it was. You know, and if I'm lying, I'm buying because I remember there was quite a few, and it just didn't. But they ain't how many people kept it going, you know. So, hmm I like Mahogany for the fashion and the music was cool. Um, Billy D. Williams and her had good chemistry. Anthony Perkins was spooky in the movie. Um, I thought the elegance was more with Mahogany, but I thought Whitney had the because she had Kevin Costner. I just think that the Bodyguard had a certain romanticism that worked. But I'll watch Mahogany probably more though, because this music is what sold it. I think they both were in their element. I think Mahogany had more of an edgier. You know, that was probably, if I'm honest, that's probably my favorite Whitney movie of the three, though, of the ones she did, because she actually had a little bit different variety. But I thought Mahogany was a good film. That was a good film. I thought that she did. Donna Ross could parlay well on the big screen. She just didn't have no business doing the Wiz though. That's all. That was a decent film with Mahogany. I thought it was a little bit over the top in some places. They were dropping some subtlety hints there with certain things. Yeah. Okay. Get some conversation going. Mary J. Because Mary J. That whole thing with her and JoJo. I mean, just always she made albums about her breakups. And Mary J was making her best music when she went through all that pain. Braxton kind of came and went through it. Braxton made it kind of smooth. Or she's gonna get revenge quick. Mary J lived for that though. It's a good question though. It's a good question. You gave me an idea for a Tony Braxton topic, so let's see where is it again. And Oh, that's a great question because they all can make a case. They all can make a case. I gotta probably say it to me if I had to pick. Um, Hallie and Tony gonna come one and two for me a little bit because Hallie, it always just looked like becoming her, and Tony always had that style with it. So I think it's up them two. Then Neil would come in there, and then Anita, and then Jada. But I think Hallie and Tony were the best two with it. That's a good question. I never get asked anything like that. But it's something I can think of though, because I saw some. Because Tony's wigs weren't happening, Jada's wigs weren't happening. Nee always kept a smooth, small dude. Haley's hair was looked better was because it was the height they was, and Anita always had like mid range hair, so it was cool. But I think Tony and Haley got it. No, no, stop, no, stop, no. Please don't do that. You've been around long enough to know that you've been around long enough to know there ain't gonna be no next Janet Jackson, no next Mike. First of all, we'd have to flip technology and take it back to where we were, and then we'd have to have people breathe a career into you. They'd have to work with some of the same people. There's a lot of things that have to go into place. That's not going to happen. You know, you can be great at one particular craft, but when you start saying the next Janet Jackson, do you realize Janet been doing it since she was a kid? That that was on TV, that she did TV shows, she did movies, she did albums, she did tours. You just can't just make this up. It takes too much body work. You talk about a nearly almost a 50-year career. So, with all due respect, no, that's not. Uh-uh. No, no, because again, look at when she came out. You got you got to remember something. She came out in the 90s with Destiny's Child. They caught the last end of cassettes. There was a CD singles. See, they was the last of an era where people were freezing on them until she blew up. But you got to remember when you ask me these acts, you're talking about acts like that's an act that came out in the 90s, right? She's 30-year career. So she was part of the last. It might not seem like it's when I say this, but Beyonce is considered old school. You know, I mean, her career totally, her solo career is 25 years old almost. If you think about it, comes so almost. So she is not hardly a spring chicken. So, like if you were going to ask me, would it be another Rihanna or would it be another Keisha or another, those kind of acts, maybe. But acts that have been established, they've been around 25, 30 years, no. Because technology changed. Beyonce was part of the old guard of technology, if you remember. She was around when there was still cassettes and CDs. So, no. They could be back. They could be, but again, you'd have to strip yourself of everything you know, and then you'd have to have somebody. A lot of stuff would have to. That's not going to happen. We're not going back. We could say that back if we didn't have the technology we have, if we didn't have the multi, but we got too much that's not going to happen. because again, it's done in such a way that it would, and her career is, you know, again, you're not debating her against SZA. You're not debating her against Bryson Tiller. You're not debating her against Chris Brown. She had a career that predated. So, you know, I mean, people done grown up on Beyonce, so, and there won't be another one. There'll be people that they always have that come around and make you remind you of certain people, certain things that they do, but no. Because again, it can't happen because the technology and everywhere we're in. Okay, let's get some more questions. Because if I start to see slow up, I'm gonna bounce. So we're gonna see if you got any more questions for me. And I'm glad that you came in because you definitely gonna, keep me on for at least an hour. But this is one of the reasons why, people, I'm available, and I always welcome people to come through, and I hope that they will want to come through, and if they can. But there's another reason too, because if I come on and gotta have conversations, I don't think anyone else asked anything. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I don't think anyone else asked anything. What are you saying? I just answered the question the best way I know how, because when you asked me about any act that, like, Beyonce came out in the 90s. And so, no, there won't be another one because the era she come from, she came from the last of that standards era. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I get it now. Yeah, well, it's some days be slow on here. Some days I got a lot of views, but I ain't got no people coming through. People are clicking for the likes, but they're not coming through. Now Beyonce, she'll get away because again, she came in. She caught the last of that era. She came around in an era where rapping was still kind of like a novelty to push beats on your records. So, and it can go in the situation. So, she's still blanket because a stuffed animal. If you hit it, and it can explode. You like being around a stuffed animal if you like it, but I think a blanket's more comfortable. So you gotta have a nice warm fuzzy stuffed animal. Kobe or Ro, whoever you are, Kobe. And it's not even close. Because I think that LeBron playing longer has actually worked against him. I think that he did not compartmentalize working well with his teammates, and I think the LA thing then actually exposed him. You see, all the stats that he has, he never deferred to a teammate to see what could be together. He had Anthony Davis, he didn't make it work. He's in a situation where he gotten old and now he can't really, he stepped on too many shoes. Sometimes it worked, but a lot of times it worked against him. So I think that Kobe looks better. So he hasn't been balling at the highest level for no 20 years. Stop with the cap. Because his LA Lakers wasn't a highest level. He has a token bubble ring and in season tournament. And missed the playoffs a couple years in LA. Did not get the best out of Anthony Davis. Did not and had a lot of coaches turnover. He had his peak. His peak was with Cleveland and Miami. Okay? Let's keep it 100. That LeBron James that you're talking about really ain't been in the building since 2019. Okay? Yes, he's putting up numbers, but it ain't making a difference. The last 3 or 4 years, it didn't make a difference. It did make a difference. That team was no threat to win a championship. That team was no threat to get to the finals. So, what are you doing? And I'm sorry, 4 chips in 20 years, he should have Tom Brady's career with the way he was able to finagle and to bring teams he wanted and coaches he wanted and to make all that maneuvering he did. And you should be where Tom Brady is. And he's not. He's not. He did not dominate the West. He's been pretty ordinary. If you're gonna be out there playing at 40, you're gonna take the same criticism. There is no, I'm not cutting him no breaks. Kobe did utilize to keep the Lakers to before he got hurt and injured, and he was integral. Being a floor general, you should be able to have your point guard respect you. You should be able to have your center respect you. Shouldn't have people on the toes. He's so busy stat padding that he got in people's way, and he did not bring the best out of everybody. He should have been able to let Anthony Davis be the Finals MVP in 2020, and he didn't do that. He could have pumped his head up and had that team built and done something as opposed to taking it for himself. And that lies in one of the problems with him. And now he's gotten old, and now he doesn't have anybody to fall back because he doesn't have any more fall guys. He's just the old man to stand out there. And Luka Doncic is now running the team. They tried Kobe, they tried LeBron's way, it didn't work. He's playing for the Lakers, okay? No token ring and in season bubble in season that don't count. He's not he didn't do his job in LA. He got him a nice cute little ring, but people ain't feeling that. You're gonna be a floor general, you gotta have everybody involved. He doesn't do that. Shea Chris Alexander does that. Luke Jokic does that. I think that your new head isn't given an understanding. I didn't watch both these guys play. And let me put that theory about the old head perspective to shame. Jokic does what LeBron don't do. In all due respect, Jokic got everybody involved. See, so I don't want to hear about this all about that. Mm-mm. See, LeBron stands are almost like mega stands. They only think one way, and if you bring your facts and actual, people got a problem with you be bringing it, and they kind of remind me of one another. If LeBron was like that, he would be a contender more than what he has in his career. And let's be real, he is not bringing it because he can't bring it. He didn't bring it really with the Lakers. They went and got Andre Drummond, got Russell Westbrook. They kept bringing in pieces and pieces. So all he had to do was hold his lane, and he kept getting in the way. So he's been his own worst enemy out in LA. He should have kept his butt in Cleveland. You know, you know. No, he don't. The NBA sucks. Most people don't want to watch that piece of garbage, and only LeBron stands would say something that's so illogical. Have you been watching the ratings? People cringe at the game because of people jacking up threes and frailing and taking and load management, doing everything but play the game. No, no. He had a great career, but his best days have been long behind him. If he got everybody involved, he wouldn't have to reshuffle teams like he do. Ain't no everybody is good. Nothing. The NBA is garbage now. What NBA you watching? Shh. It's not even American basketball no more. They didn't turn it into something that's almost like WWF. They didn't made it into a joke. People don't watch that trash no more. You can't call nobody no head because your head ain't working. If you sit there and think that that garbage is good basketball, then something wrong. That mess is not good basketball at all. There is no drawn plays. There is no strategies. There is none. You get like maybe what? It's treated like an NBA All Star game. He was so Oscar Robertson. Oscar Robertson was the link between Magic Johnson and Steph Curry. I don't know if you understand the logic. The man was a triple double. So when you understand that he was a tweener, he was one of the best players, not just a point guard, one of the best players ever. Because he could shoot and score. And if we go back to his era, when they had man to man and low post and physicality and hand touching and no 3 point line, no flopping, no acting, no allowing you to pound the ball, carry, walk, travel, and bunny hop and Euro step, put to you like this Oscar Robertson would make James Harden look like Trey Young. Okay. They wouldn't dominate nothing because they can't dominate this era. How the heck do you sound? They're not dominating this era. You only got a handful of guys who know how to really play. Shea Crace Alexander is one of the baddest cats going today. Shea is bad. Jokic is bad. Giannis is bad. Luca's got potential. He got to stay consistent. But most of these cats today do the same thing. There's nothing special about the way they play. The reason why it looks like that to you is because they get to play 3 point ball and they don't get to D up on nobody. They play zone, they split corners, and they're just not posting. No, it's not an absurd take because you gotta learn the game. You need to go back and watch because you missing out. This what this mess is. The Adam Silver turned the NBA into a joke. Adam Silver then made the league into a joke. Stern them, they made the league into a joke. They then turned into a camp where they brought everybody overseas, and the game has gotten soft. It's absurd. That's absurd. Shh. And you sitting up here thinking that these cats, they're not playing no better than nothing. They're not playing no better than nothing. There's nothing special. LeBron is not better than Steph Curry. Kevin Durant can't do nothing unless he has a certain as talented as he is, he can't do nothing with no team without being in a set situation. The saddest part is probably the baddest player who chose load management over playing fully, and that was Kawhi Leonard. Because Kawhi is the one that got over. That's the sadness. He could have been the closest thing to really doing something. But this is a sorry excuse for an NBA. It's sorry. This NBA today is a joke. Because everybody can shoot threes and spot up shooting does plays positionless ball, that means that they somehow can hang with the old guards. I don't think so. It's embarrassing to watch. They treat the NBA regular season like they do the All Star game. They trying to boycott the All Star because people don't want to watch that garbage, and it is trash. It's trash. You're in a sorry era with watching basketball. And I don't want to hear nothing about parity or nothing like that because the NFL, as bad as racist as they are, they still find a way to make it happen. Sorry era right now, y'all. Which era was better, the 80s and 90s? Not basketball related? You just talking about what sport are we talking about? Are you talking about era? You talking about era like lifestyle? Are you talking about the era? That's hard to say because there's things lifestyle. I'd say the 80s, but the 90s was the last time that there was real living though. where you had everything where you could go, before technology took over. But I like things from both eras. They both had things that I like. So they both had something that I like. I think that the 90s was the last of that realness. Again, my life was so it had highs from both and lows from both, so it's kind of hard to say if someone perceives you a certain way. Do the person, do you the person? I think people choose what they want to think about you because a lot of us are unopened books. So until you really get a chance to read us and take a chance to really, like really open us up with the conversation, I think. The thing about it, um, the person can The I can't say that because sometimes someone perceives a certain way, do you, the person, influence it? I can't say you influenced it because you could be. It depends on what you're doing. So, like, let me give you an example. You could be an entertainer, for instance. You might have on stage personality that's completely different from what you like off. How would I know? And there are times I hear that so often than not that they're not the same person that you saw on stage or the same person that was playing sports or acting. So I don't know. But we choose the way we want people to be because we're going by what we see. That's how we are. So we're the ones who create that. And how often do you just give a person to say, okay, how do you signify yourself? How you identify yourself? Yeah, but again, you have to, yeah, people will fool you. You really be in for a surprise. I give you an example. I remember Otis Williams of the Temptations, and that's when Whitney did the Star Spangled Banner, did the Super Bowl. And she got off stage and she started cursing, and dude said, "Girl, I didn't know you talk like that. I didn't know you were like that." Again, people have perceptions of you. They think you a certain type of personality and they run it like that's the gospel truth. So we don't know, folks. We just only go by what we see. We don't really know. Often than not, people always are in for a rude awakening. So, yeah. So it's a lot of layers to a person. You know, most times with folks, very few times do you get what you see is what you see. There are some exceptions there, and nowadays even more so because you have social media, so people can act a certain way on film and camera, then they completely different in person. So it's a different hit. Well, rappers are some of the biggest actors on the planet. I mean, by and large, most of them are nerds or Twinkies, and they're not the half of what you see. They just play a role because that's what's sold on the Hollywood plantation. Because the ones that were considered hard were really soft, and the ones that were considered soft were really hard. So that's why they were able to do acting and sell all kinds of stuff, you know. And again, when you're in Hollywood, it's one big stage. Now, he was an educated entertainer, but what happened was it wasn't it wasn't even the thug like that. It was the hate you give. That's what that acronym meant. He said that, but he was talking about he fed off of what people did, you know. And he also talked. He was a Black Panther baby. He was socially conscious, but he was capped. There was a lot of contradiction, but he had a lot of different layers to him. He was compassionate. He was an artist. He was a writer. He thought like a lot of things. You know, he could probably be, and he was very detailed. You know, there are a lot of different components to him. He was typical Hollywood entertainer. And in some ways, he was a typical Hollywood entertainer. He just happened to be very charismatic, had a personality, and was very poetic and had a deep old soul. But then there was some ways about him that was pretty ordinary. You know, so there's a lot of different layers to him. He was like multiple personalities, and that came out in his all too brief time on this earth. So, I respect the talent. I respect the talent. I wonder how you can't call nobody on head. You mentioned Gangstar. You going back. That's funny. You call somebody, he said old head, and you mentioned Gangstar. Most people don't even mention Gangstar. I mean, really? I mean, that's kind of comical. I had a few things by Gangstar. It's been a minute. I liked it back in the day. Yeah, but it's been so long that the name doesn't come up. That's the thing about it, Charlene. You have to be an old school hip hop head because Gangstar was never like a big act. Not like that. Yeah. Of course they did. You ever watch my lives? If you watch my commentary, I talk about that all the time. Of course they did. That's why they give people fake territory property. They put weapons and they put stuff, things all in the neighborhood, just like they put the cool cigarette logo signs up and the alcohol and all the stuff. And they use it as a tourist dump, just like they plant stuff, things with the food. The other stuff is planned. They don't do that in the burbs. So, yes, I do. I believe there's lessons to be learned. I do. I believe that there is something that's a greater purpose, and that for people who only think that this is as good as it gets, they're in for an awakening. How you treat people and how you bless the soul, and understand that you own nothing. Everything is on lease, and understand that it's because I believe in a higher call and a higher being. And I used to listen to my grandmother's talk. And believe me, it's something deeper perspective. And you have to understand whatever you believe in something. So it runs deep. You sure have some interesting questions. You go from Gangstar, the NBA, and the government, and to God. You really got some interesting takes. And I don't know where it's gonna go with it, but I'm a firm believer in strong spirituality and the ethics. But I don't see a lot of people actually practice what they're supposed to preach, though. And I also believe that you should have a certain type of way that you communicate and say what you say. Well, I appreciate you coming through. I got my videos. That's probably if you see my videos, they on a whole lot. Nothing keeps me on my toes because I'm open book where I'm not afraid. So there's nothing keeps me on my toes. No mere mortal can keep me on my toes. I'll put it to you like that. No mere mortal can keep me on my toes. People can try to take stuff away. People can try to think they're taking advantage. People can try to question your intelligence. People think they can try to minimize or, come about finances or talk about stuff that's superficial. Go into what you just said about the way you communicate is important. Well, communication is how you express love, how you do things where you're generous, where you understand about human compassion, and how you understand about feelings and understand about logic, and that you don't take things for granted, and that you eliminate a process of things that aren't beneficial to your soul and to your psychic and to your being. So you have to understand that. You have to, absorb that and take that, sponge that in, and understand the details of it. It's just fundamental. It's like reading is fundamental. Well, understanding the logic is fundamental. So I think if we have better communication as a society, and I think if people really were about something, they would. I'll wait. I'll wait. I, mm, in a movie, gotta have ASAP Rocky and Ice Spice Sponge, Ice Spice. I figure it would be pretty good. They never did a movie that I didn't like, but nothing's ever gonna top Malcolm X. That's just the fact. That was the standard. That to me was their golden grail moment there. I imagine it would be pretty good. Appreciate the review. I'm not anticipating anything that I'm gonna go excited about because both those guys then had great works in the past, but you know, at this stage they're playing industry politics. They can make something for make some money, and they made history already. So it's good that they have a great friendship because Denzel supported him. And Denzel is in a different stratosphere than Spike. So that says a lot about Denzel's character because you got to remember, when Denzel was on the come up and they did Mo Better Blues and then Malcolm, but Denzel got into a different stratosphere, but he never, he gave him support. So that's a respect to Denzel. But one of these days I'll get around to it. I don't go to movie. I know I think it's gonna be on Netflix or something, so I'm sure it'll come around on one of them boxes. And I know good and well it wouldn't go to no theater no way, because Spike ain't really had theater movies in years. And then they'll pick the project, so that's good. Okay, I think it looked like people then kind of slowed down. Let's see. Okay, let me see what we got. If you decided to this such and so person, what should you say? Because if I feel that they're not enlightening, if I feel that they're being disrespectful, if I think they're being, obviously, the situations that y'all just can't vibe. There are things that people have said and done where it's just that's a wrap. And when you get to a stage and point in your life where you just don't want that foolishness, you just say, "Hey, that's it. I'm not dealing with that." And I've done videos about being an introvert, so I don't really deal with a lot of jive. There's a lot of turkeys out here who have this thing that they think that you're gonna, we ain't little kids no more. You keep saying you sorry every 5 minutes. After a while, you means what you do. So I'm not gonna sit around here and keep coddling you. I ain't your daddy, I ain't your uncle, I ain't your cousin. I ain't like, and I ain't your friend like that. So the stuff is just gets be a bugging, you be bugaboo. So it's gotta go on and mess with somebody else. So and I'm used to being not having to deal with a lot of folks tripping. So I've had situations like that with family members. So they got to get, if that gets clipped, then anybody can get clipped from conversation. So I don't usually have too much of that anymore because I don't really put myself in them situations. So okay, so let's see what we got here. Look like everybody kind of slowed down now. Had a good report today though. And like I said, I'll be back next Monday. I'm taking the weekend off, so there's a barring some miracle, there's a slim chance tomorrow, but definitely not Saturday, Sunday. So definitely, definitely. So there's a good chance I'll take the weekend off. So just so you know, in case you're looking, but there are plenty of videos that'll be on the channel, and comments and thoughts and all that is always welcome. So, and the same as usual, if you need, get in touch. Okay. This is the last one. I don't see nobody coming through, so I think I'm gonna say Cyro Nairo. Uh, they usually get the message. Expressions express. If I don't talk, silence speaks loud. And if I gotta block somebody, well, that's kind of duh. It's part old school, it's part new school. So, okay. I think that might be about it. That's somebody got something else they gonna say. I'll be waiting for just another minute. Been some good conversation here today. So yeah, barring yeah, because it's doubtful tomorrow maybe, but that's low key and it'll be later. No, no, not the weekend. I got videos, but I gotta do stuff. I got stuff I gotta do. I'm occupied Saturday. Church on Sunday. I got a lot of stuff on Sunday. So by the time I get back, it's later. And tomorrow is a real light. So more than likely it'll be Monday. Which is realistically, 3 live streams a week is probably more than enough because I'm not getting that kind of, the people come and go, and some days are busy and others. So that's about par for the course. But there are videos to watch, plenty of videos to watch, and other ways to interact. It's just that I'm being in and out, and I'm not going to really, so they're going to be there. Comments and things of that nature. It's just that, you know, so, and like I always say, for everybody, you know, okay, you got one more question. So let me see what you got. Is someone qualified to what? I don't know what that means. Mm, not necessarily because what works for them. You can have advice from somebody and someone could tell you something, but that might not work in your situation. I mean, again, there's different paths for different people. We listen, but it doesn't mean that you're going to escape without harm. Everybody got a different journey. Sometimes it can work, but sometimes it can't. And then other times it was the worst mistake you ever made. So again, it just depends on the person. Everybody's paths are different because one person falls in a ditch and another person can jump over the ditch. No, it's never the same because patterns are different. It's just like with your parents, the people you come through the universe or the world with. There are things that your parents may not have ever done that you can do, and vice versa. All depends on the circumstances you are in. We all have, different expectations, and so it all depends. I mean, I wouldn't say not listen to something, and I would not say, be quick to say no. But at the same time, our journeys they're different. Obviously, they hit differently. So, you know, but it's a good question, though. And sometimes you kind of wonder how it would be, but again, it's different. All right. On that note, I'm a adios. Thank you for everybody that came through some great questions, great thoughts. Appreciate everybody. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. And I thank you again. Peace. I'm out.